Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Sydney. I film cruelty-free beauty videos. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my indie eyeshadow palette collection with you guys. So a couple of weeks ago, I shared on my Instagram story that I was going to be doing an eyeshadow palette video or eyeshadow palette collection video, and I wanted to know what you guys wanted to know about each individual palette. So you guys had a lot of suggestions as to what I should include, so that was really great, but I realized that if I did one big long palette video, it would be like 2 hours, and I don't want to sit here and film all that. You guys probably don't have time to sit here and watch all of that, so I thought instead we could divide it up into 3 categories: indie eyeshadow palettes, drugstore / affordable eyeshadow palettes, and then finally my high-end palettes. So those videos will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. In these videos, I'm just going to kind of share what palettes I have. I'm going to share the price. For some of them, I might share when they came out. I know one of you requested that, whether or not I regret purchasing them or adding them to my collection one way or another, and then possibly some swatches if I'm feeling ambitious. But we have quite a few palettes to go through, so let's hop into it. Alright, you guys, so the first palette that I want to talk about is the Persona Color Theory palette in the shade Pink. This came in their Color Theory kit. This palette was actually gifted to me from Persona Cosmetics in PR. They sent it to me along with the rest of the Color Theory kit, which included an eyeliner and a like crease brush. So this palette retailed for $38. Well, the kit retailed for $38. I don't think they offer the palette on its own, but it is a beautiful matte 5-pan pinky hued palette, as the name suggests, and I really enjoy this palette. I think Persona's matte formula is really easy to work with. I really do like the color selection that they picked in this palette. I feel like you can create a pretty wide variety of looks for this just being 5 shades, so I definitely don't regret adding this one to my collection. It was my introduction to Persona Cosmetics, and I've loved all the products that I've tried from them since then. So I'm going to try to kind of group these by brand. So if I have a couple palettes from one brand, I'll probably try to do those together. So I did want to mention the other Persona palette that I have, and that is the Identity 2 palette. So this was their second palette released, and it released in 2019. This palette retails for $42, I want to say. And I really enjoy this palette, you guys. It's a little bit more neutral than what I'm reaching for these days, but as I said before, Persona's formula is beautiful. Their matte shades are gorgeous, their shimmer shades are gorgeous. This is one that I feel like doesn't get as much love as it probably should in my collection, but it's definitely not one that I regret purchasing. Maybe I should do like a palette bingo with this one. That would be fun. If you guys are interested in this eye look, I actually did a palette bingo on it. I'm not sure when it'll be up, but once it's up, I'll link it down below for you guys to check out. But yeah, there's this one. It came out last year, so 2019, and I think it's really gorgeous. Next up, we have a palette from Kaleido Cosmetics. This was another one that I received in PR, and this is the only palette that I have from this brand. I have a couple of other items from them scattered throughout my collection, but this is the only eyeshadow palette. This is an all shimmer metallic palette, and I feel kind of meh about this palette. The shimmery metallic shades are very pretty, but they're just not really shades that I'm reaching for these days, and I feel like they come off more as satins on the lid rather than something super intense and metallic, which of course has a time and a place. Sometimes I'm more in the mood for that than something super over the top, but these days I'm reaching for something a little bit more intense. This palette, if you were to buy it today, retails for $14, so it's pretty inexpensive, but it's definitely not one that's one of my top favorites. Next up, we have the ever so controversial Alma palette. This was the only palette that I bought from Amy Hertz Beauty, and honestly probably the only one I ever will buy from Amy Hertz Beauty after everything that has gone down with them. I just don't really feel super comfortable purchasing from them anymore. I did do a full review video on this palette, so I will link that down below if you guys are interested in it. Spoiler alert, I mean, you can't purchase it anymore anyways, but I wouldn't recommend purchasing from Amy Hertz Beauty. This is a very beautiful palette, and this was created in collaboration with Amy Loves Makeup, and I just absolutely adore her channel, and I adore her. She's just awesome, so if you guys enjoy indie makeup, definitely go check out her channel. I'll link her down below as well. And as I'm talking about these palettes, if I forget to mention that I have a video on my channel with them, I will be sure to link them down below. But anyways, this palette launched last year on Black Friday, so 2019, and I believe it retailed for $49. Yeah, $49. I think the color story is beautiful. It's one of my favorites to use color story wise. Formula wise, it's a little iffy. I really struggle to say whether or not I regret purchasing this or not. I would say that I don't regret purchasing this because I think it's a beautiful color story, even though the formula can be a little bit finicky, and I was so excited to support Amy, but it's definitely not something that I would repurchase again. Ooh, I'm excited for this next little stack because we have all of my Menagerie Cosmetics palettes. So I tried Menagerie Cosmetics for the first time, I think it was last year in 2019. And I think all of these palettes launched last year too. They turned out quite a few palettes last year. So the first one that I have to share is the Feral palette. This, I believe, no, this wasn't their first palette. I think their first palette got discontinued, but this launched last year in 2019. It's still available on their website, and this one retails for $36. I love this palette, you guys. I think it has, I want to say it has a challenging color story, because it's not like I look at this palette and I'm instantly like, oh, I can think of like 10 different looks that I can create off the top of my head. But I love the way these tones work together. I really enjoy Menagerie's shadow formula, and I really do enjoy this palette. Also from Menagerie Cosmetics, I have the Whale Song palette. So this was their blue-green palette when that whole craze was going on, and this one is absolutely gorgeous. I feel like there are a lot of really unique blue and green tones in here, and again, as I said, I really enjoy Menagerie's formula. I definitely do not regret purchasing this one. I was a little bit on the fence when I bought it, because I was like, well, I know I love green eyeshadow, and I was starting to dabble into blue, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna like buy this and then use it 10 times and be done with it. But this is one that I've continued to enjoy as time has gone on, so I definitely do not regret purchasing this one. And again, this one is $36. The final palette that I currently have from Menagerie Cosmetics is the Killer Purr palette. This is their most neutral palette in their lineup, but I even hesitate to call it neutral because I feel like it's more like modern neutrals right now. We're seeing a lot of blue and a lot of neutral palettes these days, and there are some subtle twists on some regular neutrals. Like these two midtones are more mustard than brown. This is a beautiful olive green, and then this is kind of an orangey matte shade, so I think that's super duper fun. Oh, and then this beautiful matte yellow up there. I love that shade. But I really enjoy this palette as well. This is one that I kind of grabbed on Black Friday just because it was on sale. And I mean, I wanted to try it and I thought it was really gorgeous, but I couldn't quite justify it at the full $36 price tag. But I think it was on sale for $20-ish, something like that. So I jumped at the chance to grab it, and I really truly have enjoyed this one. I've created lots of looks with it on my Instagram, so I'll link that down below if you guys want to check it out. But I love this one. Don't regret picking it up. This one again is $36. Next one we have is the Blush Tribe Blossom palette, and unfortunately Blush Tribe is currently closing down as we speak. The brand is no longer selling things, it no longer exists, so I'm pretty sad about that. This was actually my first ever indie palette. I bought this palette off of Kelly Gooch's recommendation. I saw her creating so many gorgeous looks with it, and I was just like so excited to dive into the indie makeup world, so this was the first purchase that I made. Unfortunately, since it is no longer on their website, I don't have the price available. I want to say that I paid like $28 for it. Maybe it was $38. I remember there being like an 8 at the end of it, but somewhere around that price range. It's a beautiful rainbow palette. The one thing that I really love about this palette as opposed to other rainbow palettes is that it has those more saturated rainbow tones right here, but then it also has kind of the pastel versions. They're not necessarily like split the same way, but you guys know what I mean. I definitely don't regret purchasing this one. This was my only colorful palette for quite a long time, and I got tons of use out of it. I still use it now. I wouldn't say I use it as much, but I still do enjoy the formula, and I don't regret purchasing it. Alright, the next brand we have to talk about is Juvia's Place, and I have quite a few Juvia's Place palettes. I started with one, and I think I ordered that one from Ulta, and then they had a crazy sale last year on the 4th of July, and so I ordered 3 more. But the first one that I want to talk about is the Deuce palette from Juvia's Place. This is definitely the most unique palette that I have from them. The color story is really different. I feel like I don't have these shades everywhere else in my collection. I really enjoy this palette. I think this one came out in 2018 and it currently retails for $20. It still exists in their line, so you could go out and purchase it today. I think this palette is absolutely gorgeous. It's, again, a little bit more of a difficult color story to comprehend, but as I said, these tones are very unique and I don't have them anywhere else in my collection, so this one's definitely a valuable addition to my collection and I just love it. Next palette from Juvia's Place that I wanted to share is the Tribe palette. So if you guys saw my ranking all the palettes that I bought in a 2018 video, you guys would know that I think, did this one rank number 1? It was in the top 5, I think. Because I love green eyeshadow. Not that this palette has so many greens in it, but it has so many beautiful green twists on some of the shades. Like even these neutral shades right here, you wouldn't really think of being green at all, but I feel like they all have a little twist on them that just make them extra special, and that's part of the reason why I love this palette. I really do think that the formula of these shadows is great and easy to work with, so I definitely don't regret purchasing this one. This one came out in 2018 and retails for $20. Next up, we have the Magic Mini from Juvia's Place. This one, I've said it 100 times, I bought off of Kelly Gooch's recommendation and regretted it for a little bit when I purchased it, but I've been using it over the past couple months a little bit more, and I've really gotten into these tones and this color story a lot more, so I don't think I regret purchasing this one. According to what I found online, I believe this one came out in 2017 and it retails for $25. I enjoyed this palette immensely, so if you guys are looking for these tones, this palette is still available for $25 and I definitely think it's worth checking out, especially if Juvia's Place is having a sale. Next up, we have the Juvia's Place Mini Masquerade palette. So this was my first Juvia's Place palette, and it's kind of the only one that I feel a little bit regretful that I purchased. I feel like this was a really great introduction to the brand because I really wanted to try their neutrals and I really wanted to try their colorful shades, but I just feel like my makeup tastes have changed so much that maybe I wouldn't purchase this one today. I do think the colorful shades are gorgeous, but these days I've kind of realized that I prefer brighter colorful tones, especially if they're going to be shimmery, and these neutrals are pretty, but again, they're just a little bit deep for my skin tone. I think this is a good palette, and if these colors appeal to you, I say go for it, especially if it's on sale. But for me, I think I could have made a smarter purchasing decision with this one. This one again retails for $25 and I believe it launched in 2016. Next brand up, we have Ace Beaute. So let's start off with the first palette that I didn't really choose. I received the Ace Beaute Grandiose palette in BoxyCharm, and I was super excited to get this in my box. As I said, I was kind of just starting to get into indie makeup and I loved the color story. I mean, these are my tones. I love these colors so much. Ooh, I need to do like an eye look with that beautiful peachy shade soon. Anyways, I think this palette is absolutely gorgeous. I slightly regret keeping it because, I mean, I do and I don't, because I feel like I have these tones over and over in my collection now, but I was so excited to test out a new formula and a new brand. I mean, kind of. I kind of regret it, kind of don't, mostly don't. This one retails for $25 and I believe it's still available if you guys wanted to purchase it today. And then the other one that I have from Ace Beaute is the Flare palette. I think this palette has the most beautiful color story. I ogled this thing for months and months and months before I finally purchased it during their Black Friday sale. I think it's just gorgeous, you guys, and this is actually the palette that I used to create this eye look for my palette bingo, so definitely check that out if you're interested in seeing this palette in action. I struggled to decide for a really long time whether or not I was happy that I purchased this palette or I regretted it, simply because I feel like I was so excited and so inspired by the color story when I was seeing it on Instagram, but then when I got it home, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this palette. And then I started to use it and I was like, well, I don't know if the formula is my favorite. I will say, after pulling it back out to film the palette bingo today, I definitely don't regret buying this palette, especially if I'm going to use it in a palette bingo fashion. I think the shadows performed really well, and this is definitely a unique color story to my collection, so I don't like hardcore regret buying it, but like maybe I should have thought about it a little bit more. This palette launched in 2019 and it currently retails for $39. The final palette that I want to talk about today is the Dominique Cosmetics Berries and Cream palette. This is another one that's a little bit newer to my collection. This one retails for $44 and I believe it launched in 2018. So it's not the newest palette in the world, but this is one that I've again ogled for so long. I did a Shop My Steps Reduced video on this palette when it first came out long ago. It's very cringy. You can search for it if you want, but I'm not going to link it. And for a long time I was like, you know what, I feel like it's close enough. I can't justify buying this palette. But then a friend got it in her Beautylish Lucky Bag, I think, and she was like, ugh, I don't want this palette. And I'm like, well, I'll buy it from you. And she was like, okay. So that's how I got this one. Getting it home, I do feel like it's a beautiful palette and these are colors that I truly do enjoy. But again, I'm like, well, I probably didn't need it, but I don't really regret buying it. So, and I was super excited to finally be able to check out the Dominique Cosmetics formula. But that is actually the last indie palette that I have in my collection. Just kidding, we're not done yet. So what happened was I actually filmed the beginning portion of this video probably about a month ago. Then I kept just pushing back the date that I was actually going to post it on my channel, and in that time I did some stress shopping. I did a whole haul video about it. I can link it down below if you guys want to watch it. But at first I was like, I don't need to add those palettes to my indie palette collection video. It's fine, it's already long enough, it's not that many palettes. And then I counted it out today and it is 6 palettes. So I feel like that's a pretty significant number. So I did want to throw these into this video very quickly. I am going to share the prices with you and like my first impressions whether I regret purchasing these or not, because I haven't actually gotten to all of them. but I thought I could at least throw them in here really briefly in this video, so let's hop into it. So starting off, we have 3 palettes from Nomad Cosmetics, and the first 2 that I want to share are from their Surf Shack collection. How beautiful are these palettes, you guys? Nomad did the best job on the packaging on these. They are so stinking cute. Both of these palettes retail for $17, which I feel like is pretty reasonable for the most part, especially for indie. And they're just little itty bitty baby quads. This one is the Encinitas quad. I love, love, love that pop of blue. The soft pink is really pretty. The neutral matte browns are gorgeous. This quad is all matte, but I feel like it just like screams summer. Like if I was going to the lake for the weekend or like on a summer vacation, I would throw these 2 in my bag with like a ColourPop Super Shock shadow and I would be totally good for the entire weekend. I feel like they're just super easy breezy eyeshadow. I have tried them a little bit, not a whole lot, but for my first impressions, I feel like I don't regret purchasing them. The formula is really nice on them. This one is the Malibu palette. This one I think I prefer just a little bit more because you guys know I'm all about the greens right now. I love this shade right here. I wasn't even expecting to love this shade so much. It's the shade Hideout. It's actually what I have in kind of my outer corners today. It looks like just a normal brown in the pan, like maybe like a little bit of a pukey brown, but it has so much unexpected green to it and I just love it so much. It's absolutely gorgeous. This pretty pastel mint green is way more pigmented than I thought it was. This shade is beautiful. This shade is beautiful. Don't regret buying this one. And then the last palette that I purchased from Nomad recently is their Disco Shadow palette. It's the Studio 54 palette, and this palette is full of what they're calling multi-chromes. This one retails for $19. I don't think I would consider these multi-chromes. I feel like multi-chrome is becoming a little bit of a buzzword in the beauty community, and I don't really think this fits the description. I think these are beautiful duochrome shadows, but maybe not multi-chrome shadows. But these are like just super pretty, like sparkly topper shades. I just did super duper light swatches there. I'm hoping to have a video up on this collection, reviewing it on my channel very soon, but I haven't gotten around to filming it yet. This one is really, really pretty, but I'm not sure it was a total need, especially since these aren't really like a true multi-chrome. So I haven't quite made up my mind about this one yet. It's a very pretty palette either way, but that's kind of where I stand with it right now. Next up, I have 2 palettes from Shroud Cosmetics, and I'm pretty sure I put this in the 20 brands I want to try in 2020 video, like this brand. So I'm super excited to be able to check that off my list. I think Nomad was on there as well, so that's exciting. But I did order 2 palettes from them. The first palette I ordered is the Creepy Cute palette. This is, of course, their infamous pastel palette. I feel like everyone and their brother talks about this palette, raves about this palette, and it was on sale, and so I bought it. It was a bit of an impulse buy, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I feel like the formula on these shadows is exceptionally easy to work with and very beautifully pigmented. I have that on my lids right now for kind of that blue and green pop, and I think it looks so pretty. So this one retails for $35, and at this point in time, I do not regret purchasing it. I also purchased the Arcana palette from Shroud Cosmetics. I actually haven't dipped into this one yet. I've just been in like a super pastel state of mind, even though I love this palette and I think these tones are so gorgeous. I haven't touched the formula yet, so I feel like I can't really speak to whether or not I regret purchasing this one or not. This one retails for $47. That's quite a price increase from the Creepy Cute palette, but it is beautiful and I cannot wait to play with it. I kind of want to do a video like where I test out just Shroud Cosmetics eyeshadows in general. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. I think these 2 would be really, really fun to pair together. And then the final palette addition to my indie palette family is the Menagerie Cosmetics Pastel Pup palette. I feel like I've talked about this palette ad nauseum on my channel. I did a full review on it. I did a first impressions on it. I did a 3 looks 1 palette on it. I'll link all those videos down below if you guys want more thoughts on this palette. But to sum it up, I don't regret purchasing it. I bought it for $36. I haven't even shown you guys the inside. Duh. And here's what the inside looks like. It's so cute. I love the variety of pastel shades and the different tones of each color that they really went into. I think it's beautiful. I don't regret purchasing it. And yeah, that's that with this one. It's just a good one. So now I'm done. Let's hop back into the clips that I shot a couple weeks ago. I hope that you guys found this video helpful and enjoyable. I realized as I was filming this like halfway through, someone told me that they wanted me to swatch like my favorite and my least favorite shade from the palettes, and I think that would be super fun, but we're already at about 18 minutes, so I think that would be a separate video. I have a lot of time on my hands right now, so maybe I will film that in the coming future. Let me know down below if you guys want to see that, but that's gonna wrap it up for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. and let me know what indie palettes that you have in your collection. I feel like singles are super popular in the indie makeup world, but palettes are a little bit less popular, and there's something about a palette to me that just has so much more allure. Well, sometimes it depends on the singles, but usually palettes really pull me in a lot more than singles, partially like value wise, partially because I love a curated color story when I don't have to curate it. But I would love to hear from you guys, so please leave me a comment down below. But that's gonna wrap it up for me today. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!